Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 11 of PSO Radio, a special live broadcast here at Ginger Prime. Typically, we run these on Ginger Gaming Radio, but this is something of legendary. We're joined by Prince Brightstar and Soro, aka Global Cooldown, and it's time we sit down and we talk about New Genesis Phantasy Star Online 2. If you missed our last episode of PSO Radio, Prince Brightstar pretty much was like, it's building to something. Something's going to happen. And he was more right than any prediction I've seen going into what we saw here today. Welcome back, Prince Brightstar. Where can people find you?
So you can find me both on YouTube at youtube.com/Prince Brightstar, as well as on Twitch at twitch.tv/Prince Brightstar. And
Sora, where can people find you?
You can find me on Twitch at global_cooldown and on YouTube as Global Cooldown as well.
So we've got just an incredible show for you guys today. Thanks everybody for tuning in here live at Ginger Prime. I'm very, very thrilled by this and incredibly surprised by this announcement because I felt like it's building to something. I felt like that something was years away. But when you think about it, Phantasy Star Online 2 New Genesis, is this an evolution? Is the current game, like, I want to go to Prince. What do you think is this another Phantasy Star Online 2 online? Everything we've seen in the trailer at least makes me think that way. What are you thinking? Or is this a whole different, direction for the game?
so I think there's two things I need to say here. Yeah. First, in terms of where the game is headed, this does feel like an expansion, but it also feels like it's a brand new game as well at the same time. Because just looking at how open the maps are, I'm wondering if this is actually an open world game now.
Oh, right?
It looks like it.
Let's go ahead and do the trailer for everybody who has yet to see the new Genesis trailer. We're gonna let it play. I want to also spend some time kind of maybe breaking down different scenes. So with Prince, if you say pause, if I know there might be a delay in the stream, but if we want to go in and focus in on the UI or different parts of it, that's where this is going to come into play. So here you guys, and it's like they started showing this off, and it's like I was like, that has a Phantasy Star feel. And so we were just live doing this over at Epic Radio for just the whole Xbox thing, and then they're like, oh, 20th anniversary. I was like, are they remastering PSO? And they say brand new expansive world, and then all of a sudden it's like, what the hell is happening? And then this is what you guys say when he's running around.
Gorgeous.
It's insane. And then
just how that looks, it definitely is more of an open world feel.
I'm gonna pause it right here. He does this flip. He does this flip in Phantasy Star Online 2 when they announce that. And then this has that similar kind of esque feel, tying it into the original Phantasy Star. And then but this is when they start showing off more gameplay of them actually fighting enemies. And this is where, when we start to think about this as a multiplayer game, you've got at least a 4-man team down here in the UI. Up in the upper left-hand side, you've got kind of a little mini-map with dots. The UI itself looks completely redone, but at the same time familiar. We've got a monomate. We have the burst, the mag burst, and then obviously the kind of the controller layout placed right in the center of kind of a hotbar. So anyway, Prince, I want to get your thoughts while I let this finish playing out.
Yep. So the big question I have right now is this Planet Palma? Because what I was saying last time is all this seemed to be symbolism leading to the fact that PSO2 was basically telling the story of that eras ago story that was told in Phantasy Star End of the Millennium, of a race that split in two, and then they started fighting. Then you had the victor of the Great Light versus the Profound Darkness. So this all seems to be now the sort of the confirmation point once we learn what that planet is called. But the second thing I wanted to go to, if you scroll back, I think it's about 25 to 30 seconds in, there's something really key that I saw on this watch through.
Okay, I'm at 26 seconds, so where are we going?
Let me see here. I'm actually going to try to line it up on my side to try to give you a more specific timing here.
And Sora, make sure you monitor chat, because I want this to be I'm very curious as to what everybody's thinking and feeling, and thanks for the 7 likes. Go ahead, Prince.
Absolutely.
Let's see, where is this thing? It's at 34 seconds in. If you go to there, you're going to see as the hunter is running through, you're going to see signs there that look like directional signs. So that's one of the things that makes me think that this is actually an open world game.
Not only that, this looks like an entirely new engine. Does anybody else think because one of the number one complaints, I don't know if you heard it, but when we're like streaming PSO2, when we're posting on videos about PSO2, people are like, man, this game looks old. It's an 8-year-old game. It's an 8-year-old game. Go ahead, Sora.
We do have a question in the chat here, wondering about progression carryover.
Right.
Now, I'm not so sure about that. I mean, it would be awesome since it has the same title, Phantasy Star Online 2, but with it being a brand new world, it looks like everything's being redone. Are we sure that's actually going to happen? And plus, with what Brightstar was saying last week about, instead of PSO3, it's PSO2 expansion name, which this seems to be that. So I guess it's at a wait and see period.
Well, in chat, like Pulp Tank says, it's progress over confirmed already. So I don't know if there's a link on that. I'd love to jump to the source, like because when we look at the gameplay, let me just scroll through. Like everybody's right now in the gameplay where they showed off is level 20, but obviously levels are increasing, so it's not like level 20 is this cap for the level itself. If progress is carried over, like for me, this really makes me understand why it's been so important that they've gotten all of the content, why they're pushing all of that content into NA as quickly as possible, because this is not something we have to wait 8 years for. This is launching on console, Xbox, and then it better come to PlayStation. Anyway.
Xbox and PC next year. Yeah. I am so hyped.
Right, so we lived through episode 4, episode 5, episode 6, whatever's going on in Japan right now, which Prince Brightstar is saying is like, that's what's been leading up to something like, is this going to connect into the original Phantasy Star kind of story back in the day? But what we're seeing here right now is that it is named Phantasy Star Online 2, but it's prefaced, it's New Genesis, Phantasy Star Online 2, almost like A Realm Reborn, Final Fantasy XIV, Heaven's Word, Final Fantasy XIV. But this is also a completely different engine. So I want to, they're going to get a link regarding, I guess, essentially kind of what we can hopefully confirm or deny regarding progress. Because at a minimum, when we talk about glamour, when we talk about anything, like if it's a whole new leveling structure, so that like you don't come in and you're like, I'm level 95. Like it's like, how are you going to experience that game as opposed to somebody who's starting fresh in 2021? Holy crap, 2021. Anyway, but so I gotta toss to you, dude. I'm losing it right now. This is just. What are your thoughts?
My thoughts is okay. So we end up waiting 8 years for Phantasy Star Online 2 to come to NA.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden they release this bomb on us. It's just, hey, guess what, guys? Let's have some fun. This is insane. I can't believe that they would do this early. I am excited as hell that they would do this early, for one thing. And we did end up getting a Twitter link drop here in the Discord stating, today during Microsoft's Xbox Game Showcase, we proudly announced brand new title, PSO2 series, New Genesis. If you missed, here's the...
Make sure to watch the video.
Yeah, watch the video. And then we have Gothelin from Twitter commenting, will current characters matter? And Phantasy Star Online 2 NA replies, yes. We'll share more on this soon. Thanks for the support, ARCs.
Yeah. There's a lot of ways that current characters can matter, right? It's like, because at the end of the day, like if let's say the level cap is adjusted, if this is a whole different approach to the game and its design, like there's so much that you can do. I don't want it, like if there's raids, if there's all kinds of new content, like what's going to carry forward. It, in my opinion, because of the length of the game, anything that cost you money in Phantasy Star 2 should absolutely translate forward, in my opinion. What do you think? Because like we've got inventory expansions. We're assuming because of Phantasy Star Online 2, we're talking about free to play,
Hmm.
experience. That's going to have.
Well,
Go ahead.
so I can see the free to play, but I can see having to buy into the expansion.
Oh, you think so? Oh,
So
got a
I
notification.
can I can I can see them doing a buy into the expansion,
Mm-hmm.
but you don't have to pay the monthly subscription to play online with others.
Okay.
Like how I'm trying to think of what other games do that now. Or how New World was going to do it, where you pay for the
Oh
game
yeah.
and then it's
Buy to play.
free. Yeah, and then it's free with cosmetic things that you can buy in the store later.
That would be such a shift, though. And I know Prince is muted, so let me know when he comes back because I'm trying to.
He's there.
I need another monitor so I can monitor all that is going on in my mind. Current Your current progress, or at least your current characters matter. It's not they didn't go into progress. So progress can
Right.
mean a lot of things. Glamour can mean a lot of things. I think that in my mind, there's no reason personally to shut down PSO2, right? Like the existing game. True,
Agreed.
true adventure starts now. I'm just kind of looking at and highlighting. Because essentially what you could end up having is that you have the ability to take like, hey, by the way, thanks for playing this. There's going to be perks in that. You can have interrelationships with that. The story continues with the new engine. Something I've talked about numerous times when it comes down to like, let's say they decide to do something with Final Fantasy 14 in a whole new engine. You can respect everything that's happened prior, while at the same time, like, okay, well, here's how all this changes. You're not losing we're not shutting down PSO2, but we're adding on to this like whole new chapter, new experience. And here's what's going to carry forward. Here's what's going to be connected here, especially your friends list, et cetera, et cetera. Prince, you're back. Did you find anything while you were muted, or were you looking for anything specific?
No, I just needed to mute myself briefly there, but I think I have an idea of how they might be able to handle this thing, and it kind of comes down to how they're also going to handle episode 4 to 6 once those come out in North America, and in the fact that episodes 4 to 6 basically there's going to be a new portion of the Ark ship that opens up the bridge area,
Okay.
and so they could just simply put another option on that teleporter that says down to Genesis or something like that.
Oh yeah, I mean exactly. So it's like imagine. I mean, man, it'd be kind of neat if it was still the same client. They're like, hey, but it's
But
like just two different engines. It's like, okay, here you go. They talked
yeah,
about
how
that.
would that work then? Because if you're going off the old engine and then going into this new engine, how is that
Yeah.
going to, like, your computer is going to go,
Just,
if you're running it right off your PC, the fans are just going to speed up like you wouldn't believe.
I can't run this game. The
They could put
to get
everything in the same engine, even the current version of the
right,
game, and then they
exactly.
just bring up the minimum specifications.
Well, meaning is that for the current version of the game, it's like, hey, we've converted that. It's actually all running in that one engine. Sora, just from that mind. Final Fantasy 11, to give context, actually talked about that. They said that there was an original idea where you could go into your Mog house and you could transition between Final Fantasy 11 and Final Fantasy 14 back in the day. So it just like it is like I don't know what they're gonna do, dude. This is so freaking incredible that I'm just blown away. All
Speculation
right,
on
let's jump into
release
spec.
window.
So 2021 is not that far away. We know we're getting episode 4 here in probably a couple of weeks, maybe ish, August essentially. Episode 5 in September, episode part 6 part 1 in December, with episode 6, etc. rounding out with the goal for that. I would expect holiday 2021. Give them enough time to sit here and get that rocking and rolling. And I see chat saying like graphical update. Like this is beyond a graphical update. This is like you see them running around in the different levels, and so assuming that imagine if it, for whatever reason, wasn't open world, these levels right here are more expansive than anything we've seen in the game to date. So it's not just like, hey, we've enhanced the visuals. This is you can actually see the text bubble chat popping up as well. Like, man, geez, sorry.
I'm just wondering if this is going to be like a brand new engine, because the way you have to think about this, Phantasy Star Universe was actually built on top of a heavily modified Phantasy Star Online engine, and then PSO2 was also built on top of the Phantasy Star Universe engine. So if this is a brand new engine, we could see some stuff that we've never actually seen before, like being able to be on two different planes on the same map.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
That would
Yeah,
be
and
awesome.
instead of going from the linear dungeon run, get to the next area, get to the next area, it's more open world, it looks like, especially looking at well, I mean, if they zoomed out on the map, it might be more, linear dungeon run. Now that I was looking at that mini map, you can see like the outlines of areas you can't get to.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, but it does look bigger. Each zone looks a lot bigger than what it is now.
Mm-hmm. It
So,
opens up with like kind of like a beach or coastal area, and then quickly, back into what we would kind of consider, what I would consider kind of the forest, the green, the very, typical Fantasy Star opening kind of world area. And oh my God, this scene right here, guys, just kind of take you guys back in time. I remember when they were first announcing PSO, kind of having that similar kind of like a brand new world, but they're using a kind of a nice little adjective here, expansive, a brand new expansive world. One of the things that I would like when we sat down and we talked about what we wanted for PSO3, like in a podcast on PSO Radio episode 3, because it's like I figured a bigger change was on its way. Like I just kind of had that feeling. And then when we talked with Prince Brightstar in the last one, I was like, I wonder if something's happening much sooner than we would expect. I love that they're connecting it to PSO2 because I think it's hard. Let's say if they did PSO3, like it's hard to sit here and justify PSO2 if there's no connection. But why have a 3 at all? What, like I'm still frustrated that Destiny 2 exists. Like just continue the evolution of this. And it's going to be an interesting case scenario here for that. But what I see here is that one of the things I want in PSO, you have the blocks, system. You have ships, and then you have within those ships the different blocks, and it is such a kind of a process to be able to team up with people. Hey, what block are you on? Okay, you're not on my ship. I'm hoping that we would see not just be beyond an expansive world. I would hope we get to see drop in and drop out multiplayer. No more server, no more ship, no more block. The game just handles that for you. What do you guys think about it, that kind of idea?
I think it's going to depend upon how good the servers are. Granted, Azure is probably going to be the best bet for there to just be a one ship, one server kind of idea. You're probably going to have some level of culling so that people's computers don't explode from all the players around. But,
right. Like they can, like we've seen this in more modern games with what they call channels. It's like, okay, but the game actually handles channeling and blocking for you. So if you're like, you invite your friend, he doesn't have to go and change channels. It's just like, oh, cool. And we're just going to move you all together and balance it automatically.
and like they could do something from the launcher where, you either log into PSO2, just regular PSO2, and then there's an option to launch PSO2 New Genesis. So it all depends on what one you want to play at whatever time.
If they have that connected like with your friends list
Because
as
if
well, yeah. Go ahead.
because what the current one isn't on Azure, and this one's going to Azure. So unless they go and do a complete overhaul on original PSO2 and move that to Azure, I can see them doing a single launcher, choose your game.
I'm kind of curious because I see a couple of people in chat talking about an offline mode, and we know that PSO2 completely online, but previous Phantasy Star Onlines had an offline and an online mode. Prince
Right.
Brightstar, what do you think the odds of an offline mode coming to New Genesis in this case?
I would say that's going to depend upon if the game itself is free to play or not. Just because you're still going to have some level of connectivity there for microtransactions and things like that.
Right, because there's no way to make like if if they have a single player version, an offline version, like, and they give it to you for free, like there's not there's no chance of them being some kind of some kind of sale. What do you think about like our what kind of respect do you want to see? Because we don't know about progress, but they do say
Well,
characters being honored. Like when it comes down to like all the like ARCs cash, all the like free to play model, you know, like glamour fashion in this case. What do you want to see specifically? What do you want to see that sells you on the conversion? What would ultimately piss you off about New Genesis?
I would say, given that all the work that they're putting into this, the fact that the trailer's here in English,
Mm-hmm.
and the fact that they're basically holding the Japanese players for a very long time until they really get the next portion of the story, I'm wondering if there's a chance that this could be like a global release
Yeah.
and everybody's on the same server.
I think they're definitely
that
going to
would
be
be
shooting for a
awesome.
global release. I think the odds if they don't do a global release, it would be pretty quick. I'm gonna show off people. I want to show everybody here a couple of screens from the thing that as it's playing. There's just things and information that I'm noticing. A couple
So
frames. Go ahead.
Amina Scarlet is also saying in chat. Next info might come at the JP broadcast on August 7th.
Okay, thank you very much. So we're gonna keep our calendars marked for August 7th. Guys, right here we see like they're fighting an enemy, and we see a party list, something similar that we've seen before. I do love the reduction in UI that we're seeing right now. One of the things, if you guys haven't played Ghost of Tsushima yet, the UI becomes so away, and it feels like a lot of this is actually more focusing in on the world and the combat, at least in this trailer. Now we're in a group. We see other people, other players fighting the enemies. If we scroll forward a little bit more, we still see players fighting bosses or big monsters, and this player is a single, is by themselves. So there is definitely the fact that this is an online game, or those are just some kind of NPCs running around in the world itself, and that are not a part of what this character is doing. The party list says leader. In this case, it's Ash, and he's level 20, and he's progressing through his level 20 XP grind in this case. So I would definitely say from these screenshots alone and the fact that it's connected to Phantasy Star Online 2, odds are that an offline only version of this game, I would diminish the expectation for that as an option. So just keep that in mind. And the bad gamer with a $5 super chat says, from what Aslera is saying, it's probably a big update from what it says on the Japanese campaign. You think like with it, like we're speculating on the client itself. With that's just, I mean, what are we talking about? Like a 90 gig update? What's the size of the game right now? Like 90 gigs itself? 100?
It's like 80 or so.
Yeah.
Something else I want to point out in the screen that you got here, if you look to the lower right of where the minimap is, there seems to be some sort of a clock function there, because I've seen that switch between night and sun.
Yeah, it looks like it's like a weather forecaster or something.
And it's got like some kind of timer on it. Let's see if we can get another screen grab of that and see if it's like increasing. So here's actually the UI. It looks like this is a little bit larger. So maybe even confirming that you can kind of have some control, a little bit more control of the UI. In the current version of Phantasy Star Online 2, that's one of the number one feedbacks that I hear, so much so when it comes down to everything. It's like, man, I wish I could lay out and move the UI to and fro. Honestly, what this tells me as a current player of Phantasy Star Online 2, who cannot for the life of me get the tweaker or the PC to install, I definitely want to be spending some time with my characters and figure out what this progression means going forward, so that I'm not sitting here going like, dadgummit, 2021 rolls around and it turns out I could carry forward, levels or gear or whatever, like any kind of the free, the fresh find shop. All right, so I'm gonna toss the Soro first, because now when we look at PSO2 as it exists right now, obviously there are things in the game that over the last 7 years, just kind of the feeling about loot boxes has changed. The feeling about how microtransactions are run or changed. The game obviously supports a premium subscription option, but it still has like loot boxes and all different varieties. Would you want to see a different type of MTX monetization system for New Genesis, or is it just going to continue on the way that it is currently being run?
Well, like I said before, I can see New Genesis being, instead of just an add-on to the game currently, being or a free to play, it's a buy to play,
Mm-hmm.
and then has the microtransactions that current PSO2 has. So you can go and buy stuff or buy AC and buy stuff off the AC shop or scratch tickets and things like that if you want to. But if it's an online version as well, you're not paying a monthly sub to be online. It'll have that optional sub uh, as it does now. I mean, that's my thought on it.
Prince, what do you
I
think?
think that would be the way for them to go off of it, especially since there is a big community now in the U.S. Or on the NA side that is trying to get more Fantasy Star in their lives.
Yeah. What do you think, Prince?
So I would agree. This is probably going to be some sort of an expansion. The only other way I could see them doing it is maybe you get it automatically if you purchase. If they look like back in your purchase history and you've purchased at least a year of premium or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
That's the other way I could see them incentivizing their well-paying customers and just give the expansion to them for free.
Well, I think
And I think Blizzard did something like that once before as well.
Yeah, I've seen Blizzard. I've seen like they've all tried different things about it because, especially if they do sell it to you, which I'm always fine with. Like when they announced PSO2's coming here completely free, I was like, man, I'd still buy it. Like make it a buy to play game. But did PSO2 launch in Japan completely free, or was that originally like a kind of buy to play structure?
PSO2 was free in Japan when it launched.
Okay. Buy to play, I think would work better because essentially you could then basically guarantee like everybody have a similar experience. But to like what Prince said, I think you could easily see where they would be like, oh, I see that you've purchased Arcs Cash and then you've upgraded your inventory. You've spent, you bought the Sonic, collaboration edition. We're going to count some of that unlock or whatever credit towards this because you want that passionate base to be there to evangelize the product, to be in the game playing it, as opposed to saying, I've already spent my money over here. I'm kind of invested over here, and it's going to be harder to make that ultimate switch. Oh, okay. So here let's talk about platforms because it's Sega, Microsoft Azure, Xbox One, Xbox Series X, Windows 10. So obviously, like it opened on the Xbox stage is coming first to console for Xbox. So we could easily see this also evolve into maybe PlayStation 4, PlayStation 5. I think the current generation, because it is coming to the original Xbox, would apply. What do you guys think about platforms?
I'm concerned that it's actually going to run on the Xbox One and that they didn't specify Xbox One X. I think the Xbox One at this point is a little underpowered for what they're trying to do here, and I hope we're not going to end up in the same situation that we did where the PlayStation Vita just held back PSO2 for so long now.
Mm-hmm.
New Genesis website for PSO2 is also live right now.
Oh, let's pull that up real quick. You got the link?
Yeah, let me throw it to you.
What is this image that? New Gen PSO2 JP coming to PS4. Let's see here. So we do know. Let me open this bad boy up.
Well, okay, yeah, the Japanese site says PS4 as well, but the NA site does
Xbox.
not.
If they have to bring this to PlayStation. Especially in the era of crossplay, like not letting this come to PlayStation, especially if it's running on PlayStation in Japan, that's going to be ridiculous. Yeah, so here in NA, it shows Xbox One and Windows 10. Let me switch this to JP. Oh, it's automatically switched me to daggum, my location. Let's see here. Let me look at the website real quick. Live shows are fun.
There's a bar at the top right-hand side that you can switch to JP.
Thank you.
It makes sense that
PS4,
they have
Nintendo
4.
Switch.
Switch?
Yeah, they have PS. And Switch.
It's got to be cloud-based, right?
I would think so.
Yep.
Like I don't see this running on Switch. Now, we don't know what engine it's running in, but one of the things that people are touting, especially with Unreal 4 and especially with Unreal 5, is connected to Obviously, the fact that like it scales, it can run like even on mobile phones and things like that, and it scales up without so much sacrifice having to be made by the devs going from there. This is great. Now, that is so freaking hilarious in terms of this game being on PlayStation. Probably, if we're talking of a global release, launching on PlayStation, and then essentially over here launching on Xbox, and it's like, yeah, let's go. Oh my gosh, I'm so freaking happy.
I think the thing said console exclusive. The question is going to be, is that a timed console exclusive? And then, because obviously the PlayStation 4 and Switch version already exists on the Japanese side, they couldn't just leave that out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Oh yeah. That'd be really strange. That also kind of leads to the kind of the running theory that there is that connective tissue into the game itself, where it just kind of connects over and goes. So you're like, hey, I'm launching, and whether you're picking to go into the new Genesis or this, or like you said, there's some kind of bridge between the two. It would be nuts though if not only was Phantasy Star Online 2 New Genesis this new engine, but if they also updated the current game to match this one, right? Like
that would be like a 48-hour maintenance just to do that, though, I would think.
Something else I want to point out, on the website, we just saw an enemy with a huge sword there. Mm-hmm. That's actually reminding me a bit of the Savaltis from Phantasy Star Universe.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason that's key, and this is something that's going to be coming up for North America fairly soon, is the fact that, and I know about this because this happened on the Japanese side already. There was an event where Emilia and Vivienne from Geralt actually made the journey over to the Arcs during one of their subspace adventures. And so it's possible this could also lead the Arcs over to Geralt. That's the other possibility that could be going on here. So we'll just have to see how this all plays out in story, but I'm still hoping for Alco at this point.
Oh, Alco would be, I think, the best option for me, especially when it starts to connect into more getting the world connected in that way and the stories connected in that way. To be a part of that, I think it's just exciting, and it just leads to just this brand. This makes the announcement of it all the more important, and I cannot wait to find out what is actually going to carry forward, what connective tissues there are. They say there's more information coming soon. I know a lot of people love Universe, right? So one of the games that, like you said, with some of these enemies, like maybe we're also going to see, there is that guy with the big sword, maybe see a little bit more Phantasy Star Universe kind of tie in. I don't know if this means, we don't know if this means gameplay changes, but like what, PSO2 launched in 2012, right?
Yes.
Okay, so technically, obviously going off a 2012 launch to 2021, I mean, that's 9, that's 9 years? Yeah.
Pretty much, yeah. It was, I think it was like spring 2012 that it went into open beta, and then summer it was officially launched.
In Final Fantasy terms, like bring it to another game that I adore. In Final Fantasy terms, when they went from 1.0 to 2.0, they did an engine shift. There was obviously a story and narrative impact. And then when the world came back up, it was months in their case. But when the world came back up, that's what existed. And so that would be... The concern is that all of a sudden you sit here and say you can't play the old version unless it's on private servers. And no matter what, if that was the case, people would be out there with private servers. But I don't know, man. Like
the slip, I believe, says that the graphics for it don't look that, or like they would be that intense. So yeah, they're kind of flipping between gameplay and non-gameplay footage. So whenever you see the mini map and the character names and everything at the bottom, that's all gameplay. Like, that just looks amazing.
Now, I've seen chat bring up the concept of splitting the community. And so in this way, imagine if that, whether it was you had to buy into this version to play it, or there was something else at play. Are you worried, Prince, about the community being split if this is whether it's its own client or if this is its own separate version of the game itself?
Well, I think the real question is going to be how they actually handle it, because the other possibility is they could just give this out free to everybody, and then there's no split. It's just, are you playing episodes 1 to 6 versus new Genesis episodes?
Mm-hmm. If especially if they allow you for communication in between, I think
Yep.
that would be critical, because imagine if it's like, hey, we're gonna go. Oh man, imagine it like there's an urgent quest. Oh, hold on, let me wrap up what I'm doing over here and pop into the and join you guys for the urgent quest in the original PSO. I think this is going to be something like a really good fresh start also for a whole new generation of gamers, right? Anybody else think this would be a good place for people to start with the game?
Oh, absolutely.
Yep,
But
definitely.
also, what if they end up doing it this way instead, where yeah, they give it to everybody, it's just a free expansion and everything, but they put an extra block, just a single block that is just named New Genesis on every ship. You go to that block and it pulls everybody from, ship 1, ship 2, ship 3, whatever, into that one block.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like your ships are your servers, and then you have your instances and everything on the camp ship for your blocks. But then within that mini server block,
Mm-hmm.
you can pull everybody in from every ship, from every server. Kind of like how Final Fantasy is now doing um, the world visit system.
Right. Now, when we look at
Kind of the
it,
same concept.
yeah, I don't want to. I'm just. Oh yeah, you're right. We were earlier. We were talking about this, like the moon and the sun and the weather and things like that. So that definitely has an impact. I'm just kind of breaking down as you were listening and talk. As I was listening to you talk, the different like weapons that they're already showing off with this trailer. We see right here, he's got kind of the spear, the partisan. And he's kind of playing the partisan at ranged a little bit, being able to kind of maybe throw some techniques. We'll replay that. Earlier, he's doing. It looks
It
like
looks more
he's
like a wand, though,
earlier we saw him
or
as
a
a
staff
hunter.
or whatever.
Yeah, it could have been. Now we also see him kind of as a ranger in a way. He's using assault rifles or maybe a new type of weapon itself. It'd be interesting to see if they end up carrying over all those things. Let's look further back for other gameplay. And thank you so much for, I'm assuming, the follow, whatever that sound was. Let's see here. Scrolling,
If I
scrolling.
could jump in here,
Please,
actually.
please, please, while I find it.
So one thing, North America doesn't have this yet, but the idea of having a shared ship actually does already exist
Mm-hmm.
for challenge and battle modes on the Japanese servers, and we are going to be getting that in North America with Episode 4. The other thing is you're seeing all these weapons, yes, hunter, sword, a rod, rifle. But the thing to keep in mind is with PSO2, you have these weapons that are called all-class weapons, which means any class can use that weapon regardless
Mm-hmm.
of their current class, even if they can't typically use it.
Right.
True.
So that could be what's going on there as well.
Yeah, because it shows him right now running through with the sword, and then in this cutscene itself, he is getting attacked, and he then switches over to guns. And then in the next scene, you see him fighting with guns, and now he's fighting again with swords. And then the next one, it's like they're just playing out the partisan fight or the wand fight. That is such a really I do we have that kind of spell right now in PSO2? Basically the Kamae.
I believe that exists. The one with, I don't think I've seen the triangle before, but that looks oh, what would that be? That looks like Rugrats.
Mm-hmm. That'd be nuts.
The other things I was noticing too is if you watch through the video, the size of the UI changes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So going back to what we were talking about before about customizing the UI, it looks like that's going to be a thing in this.
I wonder if it
So like
changes
right
automatically.
so did you okay, so right there in the video right now it's kind of smaller, but if you go back it's actually larger.
Yep.
Yeah.
And take a look in the real up left corner there. You kind of went past it, but go back to the gameplay section here.
Okay.
If you look in the real up left corner there, you can
Oh.
see 6 out of 4. So that's it looks like there are still going to be some instance areas here then.
It's possible.
But it could be instances of the open world potentially.
Or how many players are in your instance at the moment, and how many, I don't know. Let's see. Yeah, because 6 out of 4, because they're this in this screenshot right here, he's fighting solo. But you're right, 6 out of 4. That does look like 2 people hanging out talking, but it'd be weird that dividing it out of 4 doesn't help because that means you got 1.5. It's like, what are we talking about?
They could also be NPCs. I've seen them do NPCs for story reasons like that before.
Let's look at the mini map. Connected chat saying, look at the mini map. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and it's probably under the title of the video. So yeah, there's another one right there. So there's 6 blue, like 5 blue dots and 1 red. Thus, 6 people or something is going on. Maybe the red is representing the boss. See if we can see it. Get another kind of take them and get another screenshot here in a minute. It does look way more open. Okay, we're back here. I wish I could like get out of here. You know, Phantasy Star Online 2 New Genesis. It says 6 out of 4 in this case. A couple dots on the minimap itself, and there's another symbol right above that this time. See if I can't scroll. This is fun. Let's break down screenshot by screenshot.
Check the trailer on. Oh no, it's just going to bring up the YouTube trailer.
Yeah, I'm on the YouTube trailer right now.
Well, I was going to say off of the website.
4K version, so we can see it a little bit better.
Is it not on 4K? I don't have a 4K monitor. Let's see here if it lets me do that. Let's try 4K.
Might still make it a little bit clearer.
Not in my case, unfortunately. But if somebody has a 4K monitor out there, let's get some. We're probably going to be breaking down this information as quickly and understand, where we can understand it the best way possible. All right, let's see here. See here. I'm just trying to catch up on chat. Oh, it doesn't. It's not. It's not just a graphical overhaul, and it's not just an expansion. Like this is an engine, because if it was just a graphical overhaul, we'd see a lot of tunnels. We'd see the kind of the tunnel structure and I would feel like I would be looking at it more where it's like, oh yeah, that's a total instance of the game. And one of the things about the instance is that it changes. It adds variability and replay. I like the go ahead.
Cloud Killer's saying if you download the trailer, you can do a frame by frame a little bit better.
Okay, I'll make sure I download the trailer here later. Oh, this one actually says 8 out of 4. So that's definitely going up.
Might actually be an indication for a camera angle or something like that, actually, now that I'm looking at it.
This one definitely has that this UI much larger. And then the party that he's with is talking, hey, you're kicking the hornet's nest. Don't think you can escape from this technique. So nice little predefined messages to kind of add a little life and variety. I'm liking the art style, the enemy style. I like the verticality of this world, and what I'm very curious to see is that can we get up here? Can we go up these trees? According to what we saw when they were running around, it looks like an open world. It looks like it's at least something where if they go, and it's almost like taking lessons from Destiny and say, hey, all right, yeah, just go out and play. We got this as a shared world. We're going to handle instancing for you. We've got this big story, big boss. That looks so fast. Like this scene right here, we got to replay that whole scene for you guys. When he's fighting the big red beast, it looks like he flew up and hit him with a shotgun blast almost, because there was just so many numbers that just popped out, and that beast is just chasing him. Like how that's so high intense. That is so. I don't know. I
believe that's a photon art that you can customize with the rifle.
Yeah.
That's going to be coming in episode 4. For North America, so you're basically able to move around however you want to as you're firing away with that photon art. So that one doesn't look new to me.
Well, beyond that photon art, like when we look at the other UI element that's kind of somewhat hidden under here, it looks like this, like what we have currently with the with your hotbar and then your 3 abilities. This case focusing in on your controller, and those abilities look like the ones that we already have, that we've already seen.
Yep.
The gameplay doesn't look all that much different. It looks more fluid though, as Razor. It's like, it does feel like, I feel like the gameplay in and of itself looks like, from an animation perspective, clean. Like this looks like a new game. I would have expected Phantasy Star Online 3. Some number after it. That's the level that I'm feeling here from PSO2 right now. Except for it's not. is Phantasy Star Online 2.
So if you can go to 57 seconds,
Okay.
there is there's a small scene there where it doesn't look like anything's like they're attacking anything.
In 57 seconds? Unknown threats?
Well, yeah, so if you play from right there, it looks like it might be some kind of dark blast that shows up.
Hmm.
Or oh, sorry.
No, you're
Right
good.
there.
Yeah, I see what you're talking about with
That
the red guy.
Yeah. So is that an enemy or is that a dark blast?
Well, like again, like when we look at the UI that they're showing us, okay, back when we were like, is that a partisan? No, he's rocking a wand and he's casting foy, so it's like that's there. And he's got a block. Is that a shield? I don't know. PPA.
I'm running mine in 4K right now, so it looks amazing in 4K.
Prince, do you see that? Like what I would define as a shield, and this might already exist. I haven't been spending much time with Force anyway, but it looks like a shield, and then above it says PPA. Have we seen something like that already in Fantasy Star?
I'm trying to find it.
I'm at 1 minute and 18 seconds.
1 minute 18 seconds. Let's see. I see things that are kind of circling around them there. I think that if that were some sort of a shield, that would be a technique called Rentis, and we haven't seen that since Phantasy Star Universe.
Okay. So that gives a lot of credence to some of those who have been wanting some universe back in their lives. All right. My adrenaline's pumping, and we're coming up on 50 minutes. And obviously we're speculating. Obviously we're hyped. I'm gonna do a round table one last time. We'll wrap this episode because I need to get to work. It's like I was like, I'll cover Xbox event. And it's like, oh, Halo looks great. What? Phantasy Star New Genesis, great. Let's start with Prince Bright Star. Overall, what does this announcement mean to you?
So my hype levels are through the roof right now. It's nice to see vindication of all the stuff that I've been saying for months now that, yes, there's an expansion coming. The only thing we need to know now is that planet Palma, and then I am locked in terms of everything I've been saying. It's possible it could be another planet, but it's, what can I say? Just the fact that I at least called the expansion is... that's good enough for me, even if I don't get the planet name right.
Right. Like at the end of the day, like you called this one perfectly. We just were recording with you before that, and it's like, oh wow, this is sooner than I expected. Sora, what about you, man?
I mean, this is insane. I was not expecting this at all, especially this early, and just the timing of it is fantastic, especially with the way that their release schedule is looking right now.
Mm-hmm.
When it says coming 2021, it doesn't give, spring, summer, fall, winter, holiday. It doesn't give any of that, but I would say it's probably, fall 2021.
Yeah.
Would be my bet. But it just, the look, the feel of it, just watching the trailer. I mean, I'm going to be checking this site at least once every couple of days to see if they put anything on here.
As long as it doesn't do what happened last time, where it's like coming to America, and then eventually they're like, all right, the site hasn't been touched. Like, all right, the site redirects. Like, oh man, like I don't want to relive that again. The beauty of this was announced at the Xbox stage. The beauty of this is powered by Azure. This is a big thing for Microsoft. And I think it really makes sense to why they really wanted to bring this, especially as a part of the ecosystem currently. We know it here in the West, it is Xbox console launch exclusive to start. So console launch, not exclusive to Xbox here in the West. Hopefully we'll see the current version of Phantasy Star Online 2 make its way to other platforms. I know we haven't heard about the Steam release. We haven't heard about the other platforms itself. So there's going to be a lot of Phantasy Star Online 2 coming in the coming months. I got one final question before we wrap, and this also kind of applies to chat. What's up?
Hold up.
Hold up. Wait a minute.
Check this out.
Okay. was gonna say, like, does this kind of make up for the crap PC launch? Let's see here. Latest Phantasy Star 2 teaser trailer. Phantasy Star Line 2 North America. The latest entry series was announced at Microsoft's conference, celebrating PSO's 20th anniversary. PSO2 NGS that's New Genesis, is the latest entry of the series, updating PSO2's game system and graphics engine. We're planning to release the update on a global scale, including Japan and North America. So first check the PSO2 trailer 4K teaser for more. So yeah, hell yeah, dude. Hell yeah.
I mean, with that line alone, planning, or the couple lines there, updating PSO2's game system and graphics engine. So they might just do a complete rehaul of the current game.
Would be perfection, in my opinion. Like, yeah, well, let's use that as our last question then. What if this replaces the current game? Prince, what do you think?
I would say it's not the first time we've seen them do something like this before. I mean, they replaced all of episode 1 to 3 with what we now call the omnibus version, which is sort of a shortened up version, which got rid of the matter board. So if they're changing things up again, we'll have to see what form the story takes place in now, or if that's just going to get the graphical overhaul. But yeah, it's exciting regardless. I look forward to seeing how this is all going to turn out.
This is great, guys. Whether it replaces the current one, whether it's like, this is just awesome. Honestly, it does remove the bitter taste of the PC version launch.
They're continuing to say that you will not lose your current character, so you will be able to play your current character in this version.
Guys, time to grind. It's what are we doing here in podcasting? It's time to grind.
Okay.
We got to get ready for this, guys. Chat and hanging out now. A couple of people came in and like, oh, you missed it. This podcast will actually archive, and I'll clip it so that way it just kind of uploads itself as a new video, so you guys can watch it and enjoy it that way. If you guys like the show, be sure to follow Prince Brightstar. I'll include his link and I'll tag him in the title of the podcast when it goes up. Typically, we run these on Ginger Gaming Radio, but as with that channel grows for podcast, this is such a big topic. It's such a big thing for Phantasy Star. I think it's important that we actually ran it here. So hopefully you guys enjoyed the show. If you do, be sure to check out PSO Radio over on Ginger Gaming Radio. Thank you for all the likes, the follows, the shares, whatever that notification was. See, my notifications are like, that's why I'm like, I don't do a lot of live streaming into this. So thank you guys for the subscription. Thanks The Bad Gamer for the $5 super chat. You guys are incredible and amazing, and I couldn't have a better community. So hopefully you guys are having a great day. There's so much to talk about, so much to be excited about, and I think the next year in gaming is going to be pretty stellar. So anyway, keep it locked here for more Phantasy Star content. Check out Prince Brightstar for more Phantasy Star content as well. And also, there's plenty of people, amazing creators here on YouTube that put out Phantasy Star content. So global release, baby. Keeping our characters. All right. I love you guys. Hopefully you all having a great day. This has been Phantasy Star PSO Radio. Episode, I think 11. Thank you guys so much.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Episode 11 sounds about right. Thanks, you guys, for everything that you do. And I hope you guys have a fantastic day. But we'll see you next time. Take care.
Good one, everybody.